So late Friday night, authorities descended on a home less than 2 miles from the Nancy Guthrie home in Tucson, Arizona. 3 people are detained, we understand. They are being questioned in relation to the disappearance of Savannah Guthrie's mother. Joining us now live from the scene in Tucson, Arizona, Fox News correspondent Max Gorden. What's the latest, Max?
Hey there, John. Well, it's been a very active night here in the Tucson area for law enforcement. A lot of developments in the Nancy Guthrie case. Let's get you up to speed. So this all started for us. We first heard wind of this at around 8:30 p.m. local time. That's when we were getting some rumors that there's some law enforcement activity very close to Nancy Guthrie's house. We drove on over here. It was only about a 5-minute drive, about 2 miles driving, and that's where we saw a very heavy law enforcement presence. That's where we later learned 3 people were detained, 2 males, and then 1 woman who is the mother of one of those 2 males, detained at a house in this neighborhood. This is a very upscale neighborhood. A lot of these homes listed on Zillow for more than $1 million. And since we've been here, over the past couple of hours, we've seen a lot of vehicles, law enforcement vehicles, going through this barricade you can see behind me, 2 SWAT team vehicles leaving the scene, and then several unmarked vehicles, potentially FBI vehicles, going on in, a whole convoy of them, really, as investigators comb through a house, we believe, in this neighborhood. It's unclear at this point if those 3 individuals that were detained lived in that home. It's also unclear if these individuals that were detained are actually suspects. Now, there is a second scene of interest. It's unclear if this second scene of interest is tied to the Nancy Guthrie case, but law enforcement, local law enforcement, as well as FBI agents have been on the scene of this second scene where a car was stopped in a Culver's fast food parking lot. Evidence tape was wrapped in evidence tape. 1 individual was detained in that instance, and this Range Rover, the silver or gray Range Rover, had its license plates covered, and it was then put on a flatbed and towed out of that parking lot. This is all based off of what our photographer on the ground was seeing. So a second scene of interest. Again, unclear if that second scene is tied to the Nancy Guthrie investigation. This scene behind us here, this home here in this neighborhood in the Catalina foothills, it has been confirmed tied to the Nancy Guthrie investigation. So in total, we've had 4 individuals detained this evening. Again, unclear if any of these individuals are suspects in this case. Law enforcement has released very few details. Earlier in the evening, it appeared that the Pima County Sheriff's Department was going to release a statement to us. And then several hours later, they said that essentially, they just had a law enforcement investigation, operations going on, and that the FBI had asked them to not release further details. So still a lot of questions about what exactly has transpired this evening, how all this relates to the Nancy Guthrie case. Again, everyone just hoping that Nancy Guthrie is still alive, but at this hour, many, many questions remain. Back to you.
All right. Thanks very much. Max Gorden reporting live there from Tucson. Let's turn now to Fox News contributor Ted Williams. He's a former D.C. homicide detective, also a defense attorney, joining us on the phone now. Ted, we just heard from Max that they are not saying there in Tucson whether this Range Rover that was seized from the Culver's parking lot is related to the Nancy Guthrie investigation. However, everybody who was there, or a good number of the people who were there, are wearing FBI jackets. I can't imagine that the FBI is looking into too many other crimes in the Tucson area right now. It would seem that Range Rover may have something to do with the Guthrie case.
Absolutely. I have to believe that this case of Nancy Guthrie going missing is the #1 priority on all law enforcement out there. I've heard, and you heard our last commentary about the questions. What are the questions that I have for this investigation? I'd like to just share that with you, if I could.
Please.
I'm hoping, first of all, that there's a press conference tomorrow and that they will clear up a great deal of information that the public should be given. For instance, This investigation, one of the things we don't know, John, is really what was the motive. We know that an 84-year-old woman that has medical illnesses was taken from her home. We don't know really if it was for a ransom, meaning that someone was asking for money. We know that 2 alleged notes, one sent to KOLD, a television station, and one sent also to TMZ. These 2 notes were asking for money, but we don't know the authenticity of those notes. This is information that has not been shared with us. We don't know if any ransom has been paid to anyone. These are very much question marks. John, you and I have been around a while. Normally, when someone breaks into a home, they break in for several different reasons: to commit a burglary, perhaps a robbery, or a kidnapping. If it is, in fact, a kidnapping, normally within a reasonable period of time, the kidnappers will communicate with the family or law enforcement where they are going and what they want. None of that has occurred, as we know, from the public standpoint. I think that the law enforcement there are asking for the public's help. They need to share as much information as they possibly can. Now, granted, they can't share everything, and we don't want to know everything. But was there a kidnapping for money, or is something else going on here that we are not cognizant of?
Yeah, and you know, it's been said from the get-go that because those ransom demands came in, you know, quite a few hours and I think even days after Nancy disappeared, that it's quite possible it was just some opportunist who thought maybe he could make some quick Bitcoin by putting in ransom demands, and you know, might have absolutely nothing to do with her actual disappearance. Interesting, we were just watching the video of the silver Range Rover that has been taken away on a flatbed by sheriff's officers and the FBI. They were holding up a blocking tarp, if you will, so that, you know, the curious, the reporters who were standing there couldn't see what it is in the back of that Range Rover that they were photographing. What's the reason for that, Ted? Why keep that kind of, why go to that extent just to block the media view of what's in the back of that car?
Well, it may very well be that the perpetrator or perpetrators that are involved in the kidnapping of Nancy here, there may be something in that vehicle that they don't want even those individuals to know. I often believe, John, that when we are on television like this talking about these kinds of incidents, that in many of these cases that the perpetrator or perpetrators are actually watching us to see what they can glean from what is going on. And that may very well be why they are blocking out and screening out as much as they possibly can right now, meaning law enforcement there on the scene with that vehicle.
Ted Williams, Fox News consultant, former D.C. police detective, homicide detective, now a defense attorney as well. Ted, thank you.
I'm Steve Ducey.
I'm Brian Kilmeade.
And I'm Ainsley Earhart. And click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis.